Discovery, go at throttle up.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Life on the Water. My name's Matt. I'm the pastor of Living Water Lutheran Church in Stevensville, Maryland, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Mary.
And you are?
I am your wife.
Oh, okay. Very delightful. Yeah, nice. Nice to know. All right.
Yeah. I feel like you could introduce me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I could say something like, "Hi, I'm Matt. I'm the pastor at Living Water, and I'm joined today by my lovely co-host, Mary Oyen, who happens to be my wife.
Yes.
As well.
See, I think that's much more smooth. I like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We'll remember that for next week.
No, we won't.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are, getting close to Palm Sunday, and we're going to do, for this episode,
Yes.
a pancake breakfast, a virtual pancake breakfast, which everyone can join in.
That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very fun. You know, what's also very fun
Uh-oh.
is moving into our brand new home.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It'll be especially fun once it's all unpacked. This is a terrible time to move, actually. Well, it's a terrible time to move for a lot of reasons, but it's particularly bad because you can't force anyone to help you.
Oh, that's right.
You can't bribe them with like pizza and beer, and you know they don't really want to, and they don't really think it's worth it, but they feel sort of obligated to come and at least show up and move a few boxes, and they can't. Everyone can say, "Gee, I wish I could help," and then they can't.
I've never had so many people in my life willing to help me move this time around.
I know. Genuinely, like genuine kind offers where they were willing to show up and
darn it, I'm under house arrest.
Darn it. Order against it. Yeah, it's a misdemeanor to help us move.
Darn it.
$5,000 fine, I think. Yeah.
Golly. Yeah. Gosh darn it to heck. I would just wish the Governor Hogan making a shelter in place. I would love to help you lift your bulky, what is it called? A mattress up that stairs, you know, and all
well, the movers did that.
Yeah,
the movers were still legal, thankfully.
Yep, so fortunately we did have a bunch of people to help us out. And it was kind of iffy as to whether or not we were going to get in here because of all of the stuff going on with the coronavirus and all of the...
the pandemic.
And really not being allowed to leave our houses now. But we got in under the wire, and for example...
What does that mean, under the wire? What was...
just in time, in the nick of time?
Right, no, but I meant like compared to what? Because I feel like we got in just over the wire. Like
I don't know.
We closed a day after the stay-at-home order.
Over, under, I don't care. There was a wire involved, and wherever we were on the good side of that wire, I don't know what it is.
Well, it all worked out, so I guess we were,
Yeah. So we got our appliances delivered by one of the big box stores there.
Yeah.
And the very next day, they decided they were no longer going to deliver in-house or into your home and install
There's limited utility of a doorstop delivery of a 400-pound refrigerator.
Yeah, I watched those guys move it, and they did it effortlessly. It was amazing. They put on this giant belt, the two of them. They connected themselves.
It's incredible.
Yeah, they connected themselves to either side of the the refrigerator and just walked it up the driveway. It was amazing to watch. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But it was just under the wire, wherever it was.
Yeah.
But we got here just in the nick of time. And it was scary there for a second because we got, before precautions started with this pandemic, we got our 30-day notice. Like, hey, your house will be done in 30 days.
Yeah. And we were blithely living our lives, assuming that would be the case.
Yeah, and then, it came to about maybe a week and a half before we were gonna close and move in, and that's when the governor decided that he was going to start restricting things, and we were like, oh my goodness, I hope he doesn't make people stay in their homes or shelter in place, and then we wouldn't be able to close.
Right.
In time, and that's the trajectory that everything was going. I mean, I forget how many weeks ago that all this sort of started.
Yeah, I feel like it was like 3 weeks ago, and they were shutting down UMBC and saying we're going to do online classes, and we were about a week away from the walkthrough that was a week before the closing. So it's 2 weeks before the closing, And we're thinking, are we actually going to close? Are we going to get stuck in our apartment for the duration of the pandemic and only be able to close sometime, months from now?
Yeah, because it was kind of looking like that.
Yeah.
I remember the Thursday before the governor here in Maryland. You see, this is how it went, right? The churches got to a point where we started canceling services. And this was even before Maryland started having the stay-at-home
the churches were a
orders.
bellwether.
And so we decided to cancel our services and move to a more social distancing format,
That's
right?
right. Yes,
or
yes.
at least trying to figure that out, right? And so, and I guess there was a general warning, maybe from the governor, of, hey, just to let you know that you should probably just stick around home this weekend until we get things figured out.
I feel like that was the sort of social distancing light. That was like, be careful, take extra precautions. Schools are moving online.
But it was St. Patrick's Day weekend,
Right, yes,
and so
that's right, yeah.
my
That's the
Facebook
timing.
page lit up with people going out on St. Patrick's Day binges, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And so then Monday morning,
Who are your friends on Facebook that they're going? Well, fair enough. Okay, go on.
many of them are ex-military, so they know.
I
they
see.
know.
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
But so then Hogan kind of got upset. Yeah. I think somebody walked into his office on Monday morning and said, "Hey, sir, people went out and celebrated St. Patrick's Day." And then he seemed angry. Like his jowls started to jiggle a little bit. And he's like, people went out to celebrate? I told them to stay home. And then he got in front of a camera and he said, "No, I'm not messing around anymore." And then so, now I'm going to, what did he do? Order people to stay 6 feet.
He closed restaurants and bars.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. First, he ordered people to stay 6 feet away from one another. Then, when they crowded into the bars, he's like, "I'm closing the bars," like that, right? And I guess that worked, but then people went out and spent their money at strip malls and other places like
Shopping malls.
Yeah,
and
shopping malls like
stores
the Kmart or the Walmart, right?
And then beach traffic.
Oh yeah, and people continue to get away because of course.
Oh, and people went to see the cherry blossoms in D.C. Remember the cherry blossoms were a big
and
flashpoint.
people didn't go to bars and restaurants, but they continued with their
Congregating in a non-socially distant way.
They continued enjoying their weekend, and the next Monday, somebody came up to Hogan and said, "Sir, people went to see tree leaves and blossoms and all that," and he was even angrier. All right, people went out and had a good time. I told them that they did. I closed the bars and they still went in. All non-essential businesses are closed. Ha! Take that.
Yeah, and that was the Monday before our scheduled Thursday closing.
Yeah, so that one was that one was a little. I don't know if this is going to happen because he things. It seemed like every week they were doing
You
something.
start to dread Mondays, right? Like what's going to happen on Monday?
Yep. And then, of course, things started going wacky here with
the
closing, and they weren't able to, test inspections didn't come
Stupidly,
through
for reasons that had nothing to do with the pandemic.
Yeah, that was odd. It was almost as if fate was stretching this out till Governor Hogan would get even angrier and order and to say, hey, sir, they're not going to bars and restaurants anymore. Oh, that's great. Yes. And they're not going to the Walmart anymore or going to see cherry blossoms. Yep, I agree with this. Good, they're being good children. But they are still congregating in their own backyards and having cookouts. I told them to stay in their room, and they're out there having cookouts and drinking things like Miller High Life or whatever it is that people enjoy with a hamburger. You're all grounded. That's what he said. And he put us all on house arrest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so then we're like, oh no. And this is before.
Right. And if you're moving when you're on house arrest, is the home you're arrested to, is that the one you're in or the one you're moving to?
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't know because that happened on a Monday, of course, because that's when Governor Hogan apparently gets a lot of bad news and reacts to
Every
it on
Monday. Yeah. Beware this Monday.
He only works on Monday mornings, and that is to ground people. But, So our closing was going to be the next day, and he just did this shelter-in-place order, and we had no idea.
He did not call it shelter in place. That was like intentional. He thought that evoked shootings, mass shootings, and so he
Shelter-in-place with mass shootings?
Yeah, there's a bunch of governors who said they think that term evokes mass shootings and a different kind of fear than the fear that we're in, and we should have the right fear for the situation.
Oh, I see.
So we have stay-at-home orders.
Stay-at-home orders, house arrest, being grounded, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
So here we are, but fortunately, it
But
didn't
not
affect
lockdown.
us.
That's what those crazy Europeans do.
Yeah, that's right. So fortunately, Governor Hogan here in Maryland decided that finding a home to live in or shelter was of the utmost importance, and so he exempted people who were trying to find homes.
Which is
Among other things,
Yeah.
like the exemption is like 3 pages long.
right. It's amazing though, because then by closing in on our house and moving during the stay-at-home order, we really failed at social distancing this week. I mean, this has been a fiasco of social distancing. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
a
seen
lot of
more
things.
people this week than I have in probably the last month, even
Yeah.
including the last week I was on campus.
Yeah, and the last time we moved, we would make daily trips to Walmart to get things. But this year we had a
You need a dish mat, or you need a floor, like a welcome mat, and then you need a curtain rod, and
Yeah, but we were able to. Well, we pretty much had to be more planned out this time to take a giant list, and it helped to put everything in our cart for a Target run, and so it worked out a little better. Yeah, it's just it's a little tough because you don't have as much of the
there's
people
no
around.
flexibility
Yeah.
and there's no help. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's slow in coming, and we're surrounded by a sea of boxes here.
Yeah. And really random knickknacks that were like, what is this? Why did we keep this?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did we pay to store this for 9 months?
Exactly. This should go into the trash. That's
Unfortunately, we don't agree on which items those are. Like, inevitably, your trash items are things I want to keep, and vice versa.
Yes.
Which is why we ended up storing them for 9 months.
So anyway, we have this virtual pancake breakfast that we're going to do.
To be clear,
online.
I will be eating real pancakes that you will be making, right? Like, my pancakes won't be virtual. The meeting will be virtual.
Yeah, the meeting will be virtual, yes.
But the pancakes are real.
Pancakes are real, so fry
As real
yourself
as you
up.
want them to be.
Fry yourself up some pancakes and set one aside. That's special. And we are going to have a virtual pancake breakfast with the congregation. So I would say visit our website or our Facebook page, Living Water, right? And the website is livingwaterlutheran.org for details or to contact us so that you can be part of the fun with the rest of the folk here. Don't be a shape that is...
Oh, this is terrible. This is already so bad. Yeah.
Don't be that shape that is affiliated with not being cool. Don't be a square.
That was such a dad joke. Oh my gosh. I mean, you are a dad, but still.
Yep.
You don't have to lean into it quite so hard.
I'm practicing.
You're practicing to embarrass Adriana in a few years.
Yeah. So I was wondering, like, a story. Like, what makes the pancake so special?
I was going to ask, actually.
Yeah, this the story of the special pancake. And I got to tell you, I got to be honest here. I don't know what makes it so special. I haven't really come up with a story, but I like to think of it as I got the end of it. Can you hear the cat scratching at things in the background?
She's had a tough week. We have to indulge her. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, she's scratching up at a box here.
She had to move. It's traumatic for a cat.
But so what makes this pancake so special? I think I have an end game, right? Where what makes it so special is that two people sit down every year, the anniversary of when they first met, and to enjoy a pancake breakfast because they met at like a brunch buffet.
Okay.
And they met at the pancake stand where there was only one more pancake left. I figure, how do I get people, or how do I get those two characters to that point? I think of bad dates, right? You ever have a bad date?
I have had a few. Yeah.
Oh, you had a few. Okay.
Indeed.
Well, I don't know if I've ever had a bad date per se,
Well,
right?
I mean, we've talked about this. Like I feel like bad date. I've not had a sitcom quality bad date.
I mean,
like
I've
not
had-
like anybody trying to leave out the bathroom window or anything like
Right.
that.
I mean, I did. Well, I mean,
I've had awkward dates. Let's put it that way.
I've had people crawl out of the window right in front of me, But I've never had anyone stab me.
But that's
so
just
that's
just polite, right?
Yeah.
They're letting you know that they're leaving.
It's just a strange way, but it happened to be the closest way to get out of the room.
Right. Yeah,
It's through the window.
It's when they don't tell you and crawl out the window.
Oh, that's when it becomes a bad date. Yes.
I think of that time we were out to dinner and you had to leave early to go to Bible study, and so I stayed behind at the restaurant and paid the check, and I got such pitying looks from the waiter, and he just kept trying to bring me another drink and say he was so sorry, and I'm like, no, really, it's fine. We were already married at that point.
Yeah, we were married, and we just grabbed dinner real quick, and I had to go and do a class. Yeah. So of course that fellow thought it was a bad date.
Right. I was like a pathetic figure. Yeah.
But I do remember one date that didn't go particularly well, and I kind of think, well, the male character, I could come up with some sort of storyline for them,
Okay, what would that be like?
All right, so
let's start with you.
All right,
what would that
so
look
I
like?
used to work at a place. It was a community-based psychiatric rehab program, and so we would have some connections there with some of the hospitals, and so. And when you're a guy working in that,
Were you one of the only men in the office?
I was. Get this, right? So here I am, I'm a white guy, right? And I go in for my interview, and first off, I was sick, right? I had bronchitis for the interview, so I'm one. So I guess it went okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's normally a bad look. It would be completely. It would be a deal breaker now.
Oh yeah, if you went in coughing somewhere, yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, if you went in anywhere, you're supposed to be. Yeah. You were grounded. You're not supposed to be leaving your house.
That's true.
So I got the job, and so I was talking to the hiring manager, or my boss, right? A little after that, and she's like, "Well, yeah, you're diversity here." And I thought that was hilarious, right? But it is because. It's because, it's in the social work field, there's so many women, right? There's hardly any guys. So there I am. Of course, there was no lack of women who had friends that I just had to meet, right?
Lots of setups.
Yep, lots of setups. So there was a person who worked at one of the hospitals down in Baltimore, and she happened to be a psychiatrist. And I'm like, yeah, I hear she's a doctor, right? And I react like most people do. I was like, ka-ching, I can be a gold digger, right? Right? Yeah. Well, tell me more about this person.
If you were a social worker, you weren't well paid. So.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, teenagers who got their first job at McDonald's made more than me. Yeah. There at the social work thing. But
the first time you met me, and I sign something Dr. Oyen, and then you were terribly disappointed when you discovered I was a historian. State University humanities professor, which is just really not in the same class as a medical doctor.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the difference, right? I mean, I know the difference between a medical doctor and a PhD, but as far as what you're making,
hint. It's not as much.
Yeah, right. It's not as much as a doctor. Right?
No.
So I said, hey, tell me a little bit more about this person. I said, tell me about him. And the person
setting you up.
Person setting me up, right, says, well, of all the people that I know, this person's personality matches yours the best.
And alarm bells went off in your mind.
Alarm bells went off, and the first thing I said, no, I'm going to have to see him.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to have to see something. She was perfectly fine. So I was like, oh, okay, well, hey, why don't we give it a shot, right?
Right.
Give me your information, all that stuff. So we end up meeting up, right, for the good old first date. And
awful.
Yeah, I know. We have first dates.
First dates.
Thank God in heaven
that
I do not have to do that anymore. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And all you people are out there that are still dating. Of course, you're not doing it now, right?
Oh, gosh.
Because you're grounded.
Imagine dating in the time of coronavirus. Oh. That was a meme on Facebook, actually. Can I send you a drink?
Mm-hmm. Those first dates are awful. They're awful even when they're good. You know?
It's true. It's true. They're just, even when it's working out, you're just kind of like, oh, can it just be over? And can we skip to, being more familiar and less awkward?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So we meet up, have a drink, right? And we're thinking, okay, well, we'll order some food and whatever. And up to that time, it's sort of, it's small talk, you know, hey, it rained today. Gee, how was your drive? Blah, 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 right? The things you got to suffer through. And so we sit down, order some food, waiting for the food to come. And that's, you know, you got to the point of the date where you're asking more significant questions, right? The job interview portion of the date happens, you know? And she had mentioned how she was in her, I guess, mid-30s at the time. Mid or early, like 33-ish, or somewhere around there, right? And she was hearing her biological clock tick, tock, tick, really loud. In fact, I could hear it. It was that loud. And so we were just talking about her job, right? And I didn't even ask about anything. We were just talking about her job. And she mentioned how much and how hard she worked to become a psychiatrist.
Sure, yeah. A lot of years of school and all that, yeah.
And how she had to devote, like, that's what she was married to, you know? And, you know, how she sort of wished maybe that she had concentrated on building a family. And, you know, boy, I wish I maybe could have.
That's fair. A lot of women who get into their mid-30s who've spent a lot. I mean,
Sure.
it's difficult balance, right? And then if you get into your, you know, if you have a lot of kids, then not a lot of kids, but if you have kids younger, then sometimes you wish you'd spent more time in the career. It's a difficult. It's a
thing. Heck of a thing.
It is.
You know, but it's not first date material.
It is
I
so
will
not
tell you
first
that.
date material. I would absolutely
Yeah.
not.
So not first date material. And when she said, you know, I wish I had maybe concentrated on family, she started, if you know who JD is from Scrubs, when he would get into his head, he would stare off
You
into
quote this a lot, and I've never watched it, but I'm just going to nod along.
Now that we are under house arrest,
maybe it's our big chance.
It's our big chance to binge on Scrubs. But JD would stare off into the distance, right, when he was thinking about something. And that's sort of what she did. I almost had to snap my fingers to bring her back. He's like, "Are you still here?"
This is not a.
It was feeling very awkward.
Because now you're auditioning to be the father of her children.
Exactly, and I was not ready for that. I'll tell you that.
Not like 20 minutes after you meet someone.
And thus far, she was not exactly matching my personality.
I was gonna say at this point, she's really the person who's like, "What are you doing at work that's giving people?"
Yep. and then somehow relationships were brought up. But once again, I don't think I broached this topic. It was, but somehow she was telling me that she had just broken up with her boyfriend, who she had been living with for a number of years. And obviously the next question on my mouth was why, right? You want to know why, right?
But now you're the rebound guy. This is like a new level of bad.
Yes. At this point, from my perspective, the first date was over, right?
Sure.
Now I'm on
now
I'm just trying to figure this out, right? Now I'm just sort of
graceful exit.
Yeah, I'm just sort of thinking, well, all right, well, this could be interesting. Let's see where this train crashes, right? And so, I asked her why. She, well, you know how those, he was a philosophy major and he was a PhD in philosophy. You know how those guys are. Right? And I said, I should, because that's that was me.
Yeah. I was gonna say we have enough Derrida and Foucault books on our shelves. Yeah.
Yeah, and you should have seen her face.
Mr. Philosophy major.
But you should have seen her face. It was interesting because she realized, I didn't realize that you were. That you were one of these guys. And so then
it was a bad date for her too. So at this point, it's mutual. You're both having a rough time.
And I think we're both realizing that. And so sometime in that whole thing, or shortly thereafter, I excused myself from the table and I went to the restroom where I pondered whether or not I should climb out of the window.
You didn't, though.
But I didn't.
You're a better person than that.
But I did make a phone call and phone some friends that live nearby and said, hey, you better crack me open a beer because I'm going to be at your house in about 15 minutes.
Oh.
Right? So I went out there and sort of, we had a very pleasant conversation. I mean, it wasn't, aside from that, some awkwardness.
But I could see that, like at the point there, you both realize you do not want to be on a second date together. You can both just relax and eat your dinner and then go home.
Yeah. So
at that point, the date actually becomes better because it's like, well, look, We both know what's
Yeah.
going on here.
So then we had discussions about medications and drugs and things like that, and not illicit drugs.
Not
but,
what you were taking, but like what.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, how you
what our
treat
clients
patients.
might
Yes,
have, And so I learned a lot, and we were both glad when it was over and relieved, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so I can imagine, right, the male character of this very special pancake story has an experience like that.
Okay.
And then, wakes up the next morning and wants to sort of just have an easy morning and forget all about that and move on with his life. And so he goes down and to his favorite restaurant that has a brunch buffet on like a Sunday morning, and he often goes there with his friends, but this time, his friends weren't going, but he decides to go alone anyway, right? Because of the night before. So he gets down there, he pays for the buffet, and he's going up and he's picking up his favorite foods, and he wants to have a pancake, and he looks over and there's this one pancake left. And he's like, just one? That's too bad. Well, at least I got this one. And he reaches out with his fork to grab that pancake, right? And then the next part of the story would be the woman's side.
Right.
Which now I'm at a loss because I don't know how.
I feel like it's not that different, right? I mean, I would say a couple things. One is that, like, for me, because we met when I was in my mid-30s, and so the longer you date as a woman without having ever been married, the more the dating experience skews to, why haven't you been married? What's wrong with you? And so you get this sort of like awkward first date conversation in which people try to suss out what's wrong with you while you're still single. So that's awkward just all by itself. And then my two favorite like awkward things that people have done with me, that sounded really bad, but that people have done on dates is, one is like, buy me a drink. Like, we met at a bar to have a beer together, and very, very, very kindly bought me a beer. And we were sitting and we were having a conversation, and I was drinking it too slowly. So he took the beer away from me and poured a bunch of it in his glass and like left me a little bit, because that's how much he thought I would drink in the rest of the evening. And I was just like, all right, like, I mean, if you just wanted me to leave, you could have said so. Like, that was like a clear sign to just, okay, so long, go on, I'm going home.
Seems like a strong hint.
Yeah. And then the other one I was thinking about is the last first date I went on before I met you. I met a very nice gentleman, I think down in like Rockville or Bethesda or somewhere, DC suburbs, for lunch. And we sat down to lunch, and I knew it wasn't going to work out, because we had this sort of awkward conversation about what we were ordering. And I ordered shrimp, and I didn't want to have any dairy. And I said, no cheese, no butter. And he said, oh, are you a vegan?
So were you being vague?
I was not being vague. He was asking if I was vegan.
Oh, vegan.
And I'm like, I ordered shrimp. And so I feel like we.
But you did it vaguely, so you're
I did
a
it
vegan.
vaguely, I guess. So I was a vegan.
I'll
Which is actually
have the shellfish.
I feel like a lot of people at restaurants are vegan, right? Like, if they are claiming food allergies they don't have. Yeah, like that's probably a whole new category of things. Maybe he was being super clever and I just didn't catch it.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time, it felt obtuse and like he wasn't really paying attention, and we were, or he was dumb as a post, which I didn't want to believe, but it was also a possibility. And we did not. We did not mesh. It was one of those things where we both relaxed after a little bit, because we both very quickly realized that this was not going to work out.
And then
then we had a very pleasant lunch, and then we both went our separate ways. Yeah. And then I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where it all ended. I guess
the awkward first date ended.
Date.
With one last awkward first date with you, but yeah.
Yeah. So
I could see her, like a woman, going to the breakfast buffet, probably with some friends for brunch or something the next morning, and telling the story and trying to make it kind of funny, because her friends all are married with kids, because she's in her mid to late 30s, and they've all hooked up much earlier, and so at this point it's like let me tell you my funny dating stories, and we'll all laugh at them. But I'm gonna be a little sad about the fact that this isn't working out for me.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I have the fella going to brunch alone, and you have the woman.
Oh, hold on, stop it. Did you ever in your life, as a single heterosexual man, go to brunch alone?
No, well, as a heterosexual man, I've also never been to brunch.
I feel like that's not true. I feel like we've dragged you to brunch before.
I don't recall.
Some of your friends, maybe.
I don't recall.
Yeah. So this whole story doesn't work.
What are you talking about? It don't work.
Why is he going by himself to brunch? You didn't go and send him out to like a cheap diner somewhere, like to get a stack of pancakes. You sent him to like a brunch buffet where he was reaching for a pancake.
Yeah, I don't understand. Of all of the movies you watch that involve superheroes, having a gentleman who had a bad date go to a local restaurant right around the corner.
Superhero movies have their own logic and it works.
But it's But this guy going by himself to a brunch
guy
is
having a
too hard to
bad
believe.
date and then going by himself to a brunch buffet in the morning
is less believable than a man from Krypton who flies.
That has its own universe in which there are people from Krypton who fly.
And this man lives in his own universe. He is
Apparently,
a unique fellow.
This is the Matt original universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a man who, he's very comfortable in his own skin.
The Matthew Beers cinematic universe. Yeah. Men just go to brunch all the time.
He gets up, he doesn't want to cook, right? And so he goes to brunch. I don't understand this.
To the diner.
People goes to the diner. Come on.
Or like the drive-through restaurant and gets a stack of pancakes or something.
No. This guy,
opens
he's
a box
very
of
classy.
Bisquick.
He's very, very classy
we're
man.
leaning hard into the sexual stereotypes this episode. Very, very gendered here.
He's very classy. He is the kind of guy who's comfortable and classy, and he will go to brunch by himself.
Is he wearing khaki pants?
No, he's wearing jeans.
Oh.
Appropriate for...
With maybe a button-down shirt?
Yeah, and tucked in.
So he's you, but in a universe in which you would go by yourself to brunch.
Right. As I said, I've never been to brunch that I can recall, and certainly not by myself. But we have this guy. He goes, but the woman goes with a crowd, which I guess that makes sense, right? And so
because we're leaning hard into gendered stereotypes.
But you had mentioned, I think, before we got behind the mic here, that you were dissatisfied with how I would end the story with the folks reaching for the same pancake.
Yeah,
their
that was
hitting.
You said in the story their forks hit as they reached for the same pancake.
And happily ever after.
And then happily ever after. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. Who gets the pancake?
Right. So my thing is you explore the feelings of the people who are in need of hope. Right?
Okay. So they're down and out because they had bad dates.
Yeah, and so you explore that experience.
And they're comforting themselves with food.
Yes. So you're dealing with people who are having these emotions about wanting to find love and security and belonging and community, and especially with that in that age group, probably I figure these people are probably in their 20s or something like that, or maybe the early 30s.
I put my character in her mid-30s.
Right. But in their developmental stage, they're looking for some sort of intimacy. They want to share their life with somebody. And so their hopes have just been dashed, and so you're focusing on that experience, right? But I will give you this. Since you did mention that the woman would come with her group of friends and the fellow would be by himself, that you could have hilarity ensue as they both try to, and especially the guy tries to talk to the woman with her friends constantly interfering. Yeah,
that would never happen.
Oh, well, come on.
Oh, I feel like my friends, if they saw, at this point in my life when I was dating, if they saw some guy trying to have a meet cute with me over a pancake, they would not interfere.
Meet cute.
Yeah. You don't watch enough rom-coms or you would know that term. Yeah.
No, I don't watch any.
Yeah.
There was a couple years in my life where I watched every Matthew McConaughey film.
Ugh, those don't count.
And those were romantic comedies as well.
He's now Professor McConaughey.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he teaches at
UT.
Is it UT? Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on a football program once.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I know it. Yeah, so anyway, we're already 37 minutes into this thing. Right?
We're really long.
I don't know how long, I don't know how far we're into it in podcast land because it's probably been edited down a little bit.
You're
But
gonna have to cut some of this
we
out.
are going to have to cut this short because I think we got we got some TV we got to watch, right?
That's right. I
So
think
anyway, we got these two folks.
Maybe a rom-com.
Maybe around, well, probably not.
That's, yeah.
Maybe. I
Our
don't know.
popcorn maker is still at the other apartment.
No, that's
so
too
we
bad.
can't,
So we got these two
We're
characters.
only half moved at this point.
You have these two characters, and these two folks have had a disappointing.
Yeah.
Right? There hasn't been devastating. It wasn't really, bad date that you might see on the movies, right?
Right.
But it has been a disappointing.
In point of fact,
Yep.
a rom-com.
Yep. And they're trying to find a sense of belonging and nearness to somebody and to fall in love, right? And
Sure.
to feel,
Yeah.
to have that sense of significance, not only for their own life, but that they're significant to somebody else. What a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
And those hopes have been sort of dashed, and they're wondering, oh my goodness, am I ever going to find anyone, or am I just going to live with a dozen cats for the rest of my life?
That would be the man talking.
yes.
And the woman, of course, has a dog. And
Oh yeah, that's the dog. Yeah. But then they reach for the same pancake at the same time. Forks hit, and they look up, and boom, thunderbolt. Right, like Mario Puzo called it in The Godfather. Thunderbolt. Whoa! I gotta talk to that person. Right.
Right.
So
And
I
then-
imagine.
And then somebody who works at the buffet brings more pancakes.
Right,
So
and
that
just
everybody has enough.
and just destroys their moment
Everybody
by
has
dumping
enough.
a bunch of
Yeah.
pancakes. Oh, everyone has. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. So they can now have the rest of their thunderbolt moment without worrying about who gets the last.
Yeah,
pancake.
while everybody
they don't
else
actually have to fight over it
in line.
You have to do the you take it, no you take it, no you take it.
No, nothing cute like that. No,
Right,
no, no.
yeah,
I would
yeah,
end
yeah.
it right there, right
Right.
when they look at each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm filling in the details for the people like me who want to know what happens after that.
Yeah. So the very special pancake is that every year, the anniversary of when they met each other at that brunch, they have a pancake breakfast as a couple. And even as years go by, they have a pancake breakfast as a couple with their children. Right? And they
And all those cats.
and the cats, yep. And so then they set aside one pancake as special, and that's what they share between one another to remember. They are, in a certain way of speaking, a fulfilled promise to one another, of their commitment to one another, of the promises they made to one another. This community that they have with each other, and every year they share that pancake to not only remember but to recommit. That this is who we are to one another, and this is who we will be to one another for the next year. It's
We
a
don't-
very special pancake.
It's a very special pancake.
Yeah.
We don't do anything that cute.
No, we don't. No.
No.
So don't even think that this is what's happening in the Beers Away household. That we do eat a good share of
We
pancakes.
do eat a lot of pancakes. Yes.
But yeah, so as we do this for Palm Sunday in a couple of days, as we do this virtual pancake breakfast, I ask you to set aside a special pancake. Do that in your own home. Even if you can't join the virtual pancake breakfast, take some time, do it in your own home.
Yeah. Take that one pancake, and as you eat it and share it with everybody in the household, think about the sense of community that you find
Yes.
in faith.
Because of this time of being grounded, of sheltering in place, or under house arrest, or stay-at-home order, or whatever you want to call it, we can't get together as a community to share the meal that Christians have shared together for 2,000 years, to remember God's promises to us, to remember how we're called to live, to remember how we're called to live together in community as that light on the hill, as a community that bears witness to everybody else that, the world can be a better place if we choose to live that way. And that's what the very special pancake will mean for us as a community as we share it here on Palm Sunday. That's the story of this very special pancake. Maybe someday I'll get to writing it, even though I've already ruined the ending.
Yeah.
Or will there be a twist?
Or you'll add some friends who drag the guy to brunch
Maybe what
to
will happen
remove
is-
the most unbelievable aspect of that story.
Maybe what will happen is he'll reach for the pancake, she'll reach for the pancake. Their forks will plunge into the same pancake, and they'll look at each other, right? And she'll have this giant smile and recognition. She'll be like, "Oh my goodness," and he'll be, "Oh my goodness," and you'll hear the music in the background, da, 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 and he'll start to say hi. But what he won't realize is actually she just caught the eye of the guy behind him. Right? And so she
Just
pushes him out of the way.
Ruin the story, why don't
Yep.
you?
And
Yeah.
just as the guy is dumping
No.
those extra pancakes into that bin,
It was actually
he
kind of
falls into
sweet
it.
for a minute there. Yeah.
Ah, see, that would be the twist. And that's hilarious.
No.
Right?
No, but because
Yeah.
then I don't like her anymore.
What are you talking about?
If she's pushing the guy out of the way,
Well, he was in the way.
it's not his fault. That's our dishwasher
That's a
singing.
dishwasher. I will also call that probably the time we should end this podcast, right?
Dishes are clean, it's time to go.
Even the dishwasher has had enough. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess we will sign off from here with the with the story of the special pancake. So get that pancake, set it aside as special, and share it and remember who God is, the promises God has for us, who we are to God, who we are to one another, how we're called to live, and have your own communion moment right there at home.
Yeah.
A time, an intimate time with between you and your God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound good? All right.
Sounds good.
Well, this has been Life on the Water. I'm Matt.
I'm Mary.
You don't like
On the water.
You don't like that sign off?
Anytime you're hissing into the microphone, it's not a good idea.
Really? Did I hiss?
A little bit. I
All
think
right.
you hissed.
All right, let's try this again. Until next time, I'm Matt,
I'm Mary.
and this has been Life on the Water.
Better.
Nice to be in orbit.